Hey guys, Jay here with Word of Advice TV. In this video, I'll be showing you step by step how to replace a garbage disposal in the easiest way possible. In fact, during this whole process, I'm only going to use 2 screwdrivers. The reason I'm replacing my disposal is because the other day I came into the kitchen and when I stepped on the rug, it was soaking wet. After looking around for the leak, I quickly found that the garbage disposal was leaking from the bottom. And usually when these things leak from the bottom, that means there's a crack or a hole in it and the whole thing needs to be replaced. At the end of the video, I'm going to actually take the old one apart and see if I can find where that crack or the hole is. And before we start the replacement, if you haven't yet bought your garbage disposal, I do have one recommendation for you. Try to get the same exact brand and model that you already have. That way when you're going to be putting the new one in, you're not going to have to modify anything. Simply take the old one out and put the new one in the same exact way. The unit that I'm going to be replacing in this video is an InSinkErator Badger half-horse garbage disposal. The first thing I'm going to do before anything else is unplug the garbage disposal. Now, if your disposal is hardwired and you don't see a plug, it just simply goes into the wall, then you're going to have to find the breaker that shuts off the power to your disposal before you continue. Next up, I'm going to take this drain pipe off right over here, which is held in by 2 screws. There's one screw on this side and another one on the other side. And if you have a dishwasher, you're going to have another hose that comes in and goes into the garbage disposal up on top. I'm going to take this hose clamp off and we're going to take this hose off as well. And one more thing I'm going to do is loosen this connector right here so that I can swivel this pipe to the side when we're going to be taking this garbage disposal out. The nice thing about this job is that we're only working with drain piping, so we don't have to shut any water off, but do keep in mind that there is some remainder water inside the disposal and the pipes, so when you start taking things off, there might be some water that pours out, so you might want to have a container, a rag, or just some paper towels on the bottom to catch some of that water. Now that I got the plate off, I can just go ahead and swivel this to the side, just like that. Just a fair warning, the hose from the dishwasher that goes into the disposal can be really hard to pull off. Sometimes they're just super stuck on. So if you're yanking on it and you're trying to twist it and wiggle it and it's not coming out, one thing you can try doing is sticking a flathead screwdriver in right between the disposal and the end of the hose and just try to push it out this way. And sometimes it works real nice. Other times you just have to keep struggling until it comes off. Once you get it moving just a little bit, then it should be pretty easy to get the rest of it off. Or not. Oh, there you go. And the last thing we need to do is loosen the mounting ring so we can swivel the whole disposal out. Keep in mind that the garbage disposal is a bit heavy, so when you're taking it off, be prepared to catch it as it drops down. To loosen the mounting ring, find the hook on the mounting bracket and put your screwdriver in between one of the screws and this hook and just push on it to start unscrewing the whole disposal. After you get it started, you should be able to finish it off by hand, but if it's still stuck, there's another loop or hook on this metal ring on the other side. You can use your flathead screwdriver and just hammer on that one to loosen it up some more before you can take it off completely. And like I said earlier, as you're swiveling it out, be prepared to catch it when it drops. There it goes. So there's the old garbage disposal, and now let's go ahead and pull out the new one. The new one is actually a little bit smaller, but all the openings and the mounting ring is the same, so we should be okay. One thing I noticed is that the new box did not come with a bunch of the hardware that it was supposed to come with. That's all that's in there, just some foam, and that's it, nothing else. Besides the new disposal, all I got was the flange and a stopper, which I'm probably not going to be using anyway. But all the other stuff, like the gaskets and the screws and the wrench, none of this stuff came with the new package. I guess this is a good reminder for me that, if possible, don't buy any boxes that have a bunch of tape on them, because most likely this box was returned and there may be some pieces missing. I should be okay with just the new garbage disposal. Everything else we can transfer over from the old one. The first thing I'm going to transfer over, so I don't forget to do this later, is this gasket right here. I'm just going to go ahead and put it on the new one in the same exact location in the same way. Some new disposals will come with a power cord already attached. Mine did not, so I'm going to have to transfer over the cord as well. I do want to mention though, that if your cord is looking beat up, there's tears on it or maybe some burnt spots, then you may want to buy a brand new power cord as well. To transfer over the cord, the first thing we're going to do is take off these little cover plates that are concealing our wiring. When you're taking the wiring apart on the old unit, if your wires are not white and black, pay attention which black wire goes to the white. That way you're going to know which one to put on the new unit. In my case, it's super simple. It's just one black wire and one white wire. But sometimes instead of a white and a black, you're going to have two black wires. With most garbage disposals, there's going to be a clamp connector here, which is pretty easy to take out. You simply just unscrew it. This one is a little bit more annoying. There's a little clamp right here, a C-clamp, that you have to push out. With a flathead screwdriver, this is usually pretty easy. Just keep pushing on it until one side comes out. There it is. And then after you got it out enough, you can just put your screwdriver in the end of it and push it out all the way. After you get the clamp out, there's two tabs on the inside of this plug that you have to press to be able to pull it out. It's super annoying to do, so what I usually do is just press one side of it in, take one side out, and then just swivel it out the rest of the way. These annoying little things right here is what I was talking about. So I pressed this one in, I was able to get it past it, and then this one I just kind of ended up bending out as I was pulling it out. But this is okay, I just need to press them back in a little bit, and I'll be able to reuse this on the new one. And now we put the plug into the new disposal, the same exact way it was in the old one. I'm going to go ahead and just reuse the wire nuts from the old unit as well. The cover plate goes back in right in between all of these notches. Just like that. Screw that down and we're good to go. Since my new garbage disposal is exactly the same as the old one, I'm not going to be using the new sink flange. But if yours is different or for some reason you wanted to replace yours, it's actually really easy to do. With the garbage disposal out, all you gotta do is loosen the screws on your old flange. I'm doing it on this one just because it's easier to show you here than inside the cabinet. Once you loosen the screws, this bracket drops down and you're able to take off this locking ring. Simply pry on it with the flathead screwdriver from the bottom and it should just snap right out. And now you can take the two pieces apart. And this is what you see from the top of your sink. So you would hammer this thing out from the bottom and put some plumber putty on the new one and put it back in and then tighten everything back down the same way you took it apart. I'm going to put in the new garbage disposal the same way that I took out the old one. I'm going to line up these hooks with the mounting bracket and then just swivel it into place. You mainly need to make sure that the metal bracket lines up right, because after you got everything hooked up there, you can move the disposal around left and right as you need to line it up with the pipes. In most cases, just hand tightening this ring snugly is all that it takes. Now all that's left is to reconnect the pipes and we are done. And one very important thing that I almost forgot is that there's a knockout right at the end of this pipe that blocks off this port. So if you don't have a dishwasher, you leave that blocked. If you do have a dishwasher and you have a hose going here, you want to knock that out. Simply put your screwdriver or any other tool that you can inside of the port and then just hit it really hard a couple of times. And you should be able to reach into your disposal and fish that little knockout out. All that's left is to secure the dishwasher hose, plug the power back in, turn on the disposal and make sure it's running good and there's no leaks. But of course, anytime you do any plumbing work, it's always a good idea to check that place the next day and then maybe again in 1 week to make sure that it didn't start leaking later on. Alrighty, and last but not least, as promised, let's take this thing apart and try to see where that leak was coming from. By the way, did you hear that someone broke into the local police station in New York City and stole the toilet? Right now, the cops have nothing to go on. Here's what the disposal looks like inside. As you can see, it's in pretty bad shape. The only things that look still relatively okay are the blades. They look pretty intact. Everything else, this plate, is very rusted. It's almost falling apart. There's some holes in it. But where was it leaking from is what I'm interested in. I was expecting to find a crack or a hole underneath this plate, but I am not seeing it. It must be pretty small. As much as I would like to take this bolt out so I can take this plate off, I think this bolt is completely fused with the plate. It's completely rusted on, so I'm not even gonna attempt to take this off. I would have to just cut it off. So instead of a crack or a hole, I think where it was leaking from is the sides of the disposal, where this gasket was. So with time, I'm assuming this gasket, or whatever this rubber material is, disintegrates. And if there's gaps in it, like there is right here, then water can flow by. Because I wasn't able to find any cracks or holes, so the only place I'm finding where it could have went by, the water, is through here. Well, that wasn't as exciting as I imagined. If you have a garbage disposal story that is more interesting than this, I would love to hear from you in the comments below. That is all I had. I'll see you next time.